Good morning. What a wonderful weekend. Okay. So at least one market is moving here. Oil just continues its advance here. I mean, it's just, guys, you should print this chart out just as an example of what a bullish trend is supposed to do. Creates a pivot, buyers show up at the pivot. And this little breakout that failed there, well, it came back in, but buyers stepped up immediately. And just going a little bit further back, the bullish wide range bar reversal on the wide down and the consolidation at the top. And, this is like just the blast off move and strength, creating support, the next move up, pivot, retest, consolidation that just creates a sideways base that makes new support. I mean, there's so many little lessons within this chart and things to understand about a bullish trend and what it's supposed to do. And as technical traders, this is what we do. We recognize pictures like this and say, this is a trend, a picture of accumulation, of institutions that are buying every dip, that the belief is that it's going to go higher. And like charts are pictures that tell us the beliefs of others. Are they willing to buy the dip and put their money in on what appears to be a negative or scary kind of day? This was a big red bar. This is a smaller example of the same thing, and it ends with a bottoming tail bar and continues to move up. And even after it runs higher here, rather than pull back to the 20 or the top of this consolidation, it goes sideways and a bottoming tail bar, a little breakdown failure and reversal. And here it's breaking out. So this is a great chart to print out and take your pencil to it and mark it up with some of the things that I've said. And as it's getting closer to some resistance here, we'll see what the reaction is. And that isn't significant resistance, but every technical trader knows that little bump in the road is there. So, you need to be aware of it. But so far, this has showed no signs of a failure. And every time it goes up and it creates that major support reference point, it holds it and it just keeps going. So I said, great chart. Here's an example of the 200 MA being there, and there's nothing to the left, which even the 200 MA, which is so widely followed, to understand that it's a subjective reference point. It's just a line that we put on the chart. It could become a self-fulfilling prophecy. But as I always tell people, look to the left and see if there's anything there real. And if there is, we'll give it more respect. We respect the 200 MA because everybody looks at it, but nonetheless, it's price that we change. So I thought I'd add that, just looking at this and talking about it every morning and saying what a bullish trend it is, just pointing out what makes it such a bullish trend so that you could look at something like this and have a bias that whatever it might be, it can continue to go up when it forms patterns like this. And what we do as technical traders, how we approach it, we're pattern traders. We look at pictures. Those pictures suggest prices will go up, down, or sideways. And this is a picture that says prices will continue to go up. And of course, we just monitor and mark off the next low and just see if it holds it, and up and up and up until it breaks that low. And then that has given you a reason to think otherwise. So until then, we'll think that crude oil will continue to go up until it doesn't. And maybe finally, these energy stocks, well, they've been grinding. You can see XLE is up here at 67, almost 68. So it's still within the range, but it's gapping up. Maybe it'll get going here. XOP has been the better looking one. It didn't have a great week last week, but it didn't break the trend. So while it doesn't look like crude oil, you can see that buyers step up on bigger dips here. So maybe this is ready to play some catch up. Halliburton reported this morning. It's up here. So OIH is gapping up a bit. You might want to keep an eye on that, where this may be ready to break out and start moving higher. Is Halliburton still, it's gapping up within its range here. So not a particularly attractive looking chart. There's some better, but again, bottoming. And so this sector may just be ready to catch up and some money flow into these beaten down sectors or sectors that haven't participated in the advance versus, what's been loved so much and just continues to move up. And maybe this is getting ready to accelerate toward $80 this week. We shall see. But if that happens, when prices begin to move up from what is a controlled manner, well, this has been really strong, but it gets pullbacks, pullbacks and up. And now it's just kind of grinding. And if it does this, we know we're close to the end of the move. Or at least momentum's going to slow down and it's going to get choppy and it's not going to move like this any longer. So keep that in mind. We'll see if this does take off this week. It's really not doing much of anything here pre-market, just chopping around a bit. You can see most of what's here as active. They're just, I didn't count them, but there appears to be more of the red stuff than the green stuff, right? So there's a new space ETF things. Really, Michael? Yeah, there it is. Good morning, Rowan. Can I mail you the trade which I took today to review on Wednesday? Sure, Rowan. I know you sent me some other stuff. I couldn't get to it, but send me that and it'll be in my inbox with the new stuff. And sometimes it just gets overwhelming with the emails, but I will get it to you. All right, so where are the rest of the markets here? Let's go from the bottom up. I usually go from the top down. Gold just sitting here on this significant resistance area and trying to bounce off of it, technical bounce, but you've got this big topping pattern here. And, I would have no interest in this as of now, unless it went sideways here for a little bit. But the door is open for it to drop further if it can't hold this level. Bonds trying to hold. It couldn't hold the minor support area. And when it dipped down here, I thought, well, when I remember speaking about this last week about the lower high, lower low and possible turn. And so far it hasn't been able to do it. And now it's down into a deeper area of support, getting further and further. And so now looking at the weekly chart, it really needs to get turned around. If you're interested in bonds, or maybe you want to trade TLT on the long side or TBT on the short side, which is interest rates, this is setting up as a buy setup here, and it needs to get turned around. So you want to keep an eye on that. You could just set an alert up there, see which way it might go. And just nothingness here. Guys, give me 1 second. Is it? So last week was a pretty go nowhere week in the market. I mean, the S&Ps were actually down a fraction, other markets up a little bit. So this suggested like Friday's close anyway, and the Dow looked like better than most, but it's going nowhere so far, just trading inside of Friday's range. We're up near the all-time highs. I think at this point, the assumption is, much as we can make an assumption, that it's going through those all-time highs. And we'll see if this week is the week. Lots of earnings coming out. We'll see what can drive it. And coming up to an old high. It stalled here, and we're waiting to see. Buyers going to show up on the dip. There's the rally. It's retraced enough for buyers to show up. So here, as the market opens in another 15 minutes or so, buyers should step up here if they're interested in doing so, which they have been right along. I'm just going to flip to a 5-minute here. You can see downtrend, sellers taking advantage here, wide range bar possibly ending. So maybe it is ready to start a little bottoming process there. And Q's, a bit of a deeper retracement here, pre-market. So sideways price action. It's on major support. Again, buyers need to step up here. It's right up against resistance. That's a tough spot. You know, as prices run up as they have here, who wants to buy here? You know, I mean, of course there are going to be buyers here. I mean, that's how prices do make new all-time highs. But who wants to buy right there after this kind of a run? And that's what makes a market, and people will, but there has to be some hesitancy as to buying in an area of resistance. Just doesn't make sense. So this is our major support, right? That pivot low. It's had that grinder up here. Last week, the last 4 days were pretty much a go nowhere. Up a little bit, but we just have to see what this does here. That's what we do. There's a different picture from the YM, which looks a little stronger. So maybe this is a scenario where, you know, the Dow is the one that gets the news at moments in time where there are historic events, new all-time highs. So maybe the Dow is what's going to lead. And we'll have to take a look at some Dow stocks to see as far as the long side goes. And maybe, you know, maybe some of those beaten down pharmaceuticals are going to be what's going to help it do that. That got smashed last week. Yes. Again, the trend is up. A little bit of uncertainty here, meaning it popped up and it failed to some extent. So you had a resting period there. And after a resting period and a breakout, it's supposed to keep going. Well, it stalled immediately, and that's, I guess, in part last week holiday. But so far now we've got a topping tail, followed through a little bit, buyers showed up, and we've got these candle bodies pretty much in the upper half. So that still says it's okay. But this morning, and this needs to get going here if it's going to do that and turn that bar right there, which is the current live bar, into a green bar, and then get moving to the upside. So had a Barron's had a positive article on healthcare. Well, they're value investors, Pat, you know, pretty much. And when they recommend something, it usually is junk or looks like junk in the moment. So I've seen plenty of things that they recommend may take a few more months. And so we'll see what they do. I mean, just looking at these stocks, you have to, you know, have a longer term perspective. And because anything that gets smashed like this I mean, it's in a downtrend now on the weekly. It's coming down to some support. And you know what we do. Something like this that's coming down. We then go to the lower time frame and look for that bottoming pattern. And this is not a bottoming pattern, not even close. Merck, which could be on the long list here for today, especially for day trades. Just sitting there on major support. And Humana, just beaten down. So, I mean, they like holding things for years and hoping that within their lifetime they come back to glory. So, bottoming tails in of itself are one piece of information, right? You've taken, our courses, and our approach is to say, well, a bottoming tail is one piece of information. What's to the left? What's the location of where that information is being provided to me? Is it an uptrend or in a downtrend or a sideways trend? So the weekly's in a downtrend, the daily's in a downtrend. We can go to the monthly and say, is the monthly in an uptrend? Yes, it is. And we look at the depth of retracement. So look, if something is beaten down, let's just say this example, this correction here, which is decent correction, and then it begins to build support, pivot low, retest of pivot low, wide range bar igniting, 1, 2, 3, or 4 type of continuation pattern. This is what we want to buy as a core trade. If you buy this as a core trade, well, you might wind up sitting for a year or two before it pays off. Or you can continue to watch this over the next year or two, waiting for a more desirable pattern that could start to perform relatively soon. So again, bottoming tail is one piece of information. And there's a whole lot more information to put with that. So that's it from me. Let me hand it over to Mr. Gibby. We'll review opens. And if you saw on the letter, Dan, what was it, like 25 wins out of 26 trades or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, there might have been a scratch here and there, but yeah, I looked at it like, wow. So I don't know if that LRCX Condor was break even. I got one email. Some guy said he made $1,780 on 2 of the weekly trades. And then, another guy said, man, I'm so mad Friday's off. I can't wait to have another expiration Friday. But yeah, been on a good run there. Let's take a look at opens. All right, UFO. Yeah, we'll start watching that. Zallo, we have short puts way the heck out of the money that expire this Friday. A couple of the oil ETFs are in the ETF later, but we have OIH in our swing letter. So we'll move the stop to, whenever we have a vacation, it messes up my week, to Thursday's low. Matador, maybe he'll get a pop with oil today. We're long stock, we're long LDOS, which looks like an ad over last week's high. AEIS, we're long stock, we sold a third, we're in trail mode. Same with CDK. Apple, we have a put spread that expires this Friday. And I also put it on as a new trade, but both for a put spread and a directional. So I like the fact that it's gapping down because it's not going to trigger unless it's strong. Look at these railroad tracks. We call these. Why do we call them a railroad track? Because they're equal and parallel. And that's just a sign of a beautiful uptrend. McDonald's covered call, and we're fine with the covered call. We would think about adjusting it if depending on how strong the market was, but with the gap down, this is perfect. It's paying off. I've already raised the stop. And I think that's a lift and Mo. We have a put spread on this for Friday. Mighty Mo, we have a call spread. That looks fine. Merck, we have a put spread over Thursday's high. Lulu, we're looking for a put spread. It has, the premiums are really, really high, and I made a note of that. And somebody on Facebook said, yeah, they have a conference this week, and there you have it. That's why the premiums are jacked. But again, with the gap down, if it takes out Thursday's high, then it looks great, and we'll trade it. I gave the warning. Oh, W whiskey here. We have a bear call credit spread that expires Friday. A couple others I'm watching here. Cost. It's a bullish 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks good. STZ. I posted on Facebook. That's an amazing bullish consolidation over time. On the top of this run, the 200 was holding it down also, and then once it broke out, there she went. SKT looks like a 1, 2, 3. XLU a 1, 2, 3. CCK. I put this on Facebook. This is the bear gap, the bullies pattern. Look at the gap on Thursday. Quickly filled and going sideways. It's a bullish pattern if we can take out the high. Boring old Colgate looks great. And let's look at a bunch of gappers now. EXPO, I think, had earnings of 59 bucks. That's a big gap. ISRG. Now this was a bearish 1, 2, 3, but it's not a quality one because it's down 5 bars. It's kind of more of a wide range ending, but the inside bar couldn't go anywhere. But it was earnings gapping down a lot here, under 500 bucks. BMS, nothing to do there. Garbage. I don't like the way it trades. You're gone. Sam had positive mention in Barron's. KMB, I saw this gap up. I'm assuming it's earnings because that's a big gap. It's not tier 1 though because the gap is too big. Trader, I got this from your list, and we'll go through your list here in a minute if I get to it, or probably not before the market. And Alex sent me a list. We'll go through all those live. But broke out, pulled back to support, bottoming tail, rising 20. And I'm not going to be aggressive here on the longs, obviously, with the gap down. CVE 1022, nothing. Hexo, that's a pretty pre-market. That's a nice. Remember on my gap trades, I want a pretty pre-market. That gapped up. A little bit of a topping tail, but coming in, consolidating nice here on minor support. CAG, just beautiful consolidation over time. That's not a gapper, it's just a long. This was a 1, 2, 3, QFIN. Wide range, igniting bar. Kind of far from the 20, which makes it not as ideal, but to all-time highs, IPO. That was very tradable. Let's keep an eye on it on a pullback. King, let me look at Walmart. UNH, yeah, I wrote all these that they mentioned in Barron's. They just said, whatever. Like I told Pat, I didn't read the article. I don't care. All I did was write the symbol down and see if we can get a trade out of it. Those were the 5 they mentioned. Walmart, yeah, you definitely need a pullback. Yeah, it's way extended, topping tails. There was an interesting article in Barron's about ZM going public, Zoom on Thursday. And then, like idiots chasing this pink sheet up because it's also Zoom. But this looks like garbage. They don't make money. And, they were all laughing about it. pins, another one here, pin interest that went public. We'll add that to our permanent category. EWBC, I can't tell where it's gapping, but it's kind of a gap from a double top. It's a call spread candidate. RWT, it trades light volume here, but it looks higher all time frames. Goose could be a put spread candidate, but it didn't have adequate juice for the 51s. XLU, that's a bear call spread candidate and swing short. All right, good. I think I finished right in time. This Yum was long, went bullish on Thursday. Let me tell our Telegram folks, just a reminder, don't trade in the first 5 minutes. Facebook on my FANG department. Facebook's popping here. Let's take a look. And obviously, looking at my opens. So see the 15-minute chart? That's a nice pop. Still, I'm not doing anything with it. Netflix is a big old mess, but 15-minute chart could give you a day trade long. Did you ask me about Lyft? All good put spread for the insurance. Yeah, Lyft, we have a put spread, but I wouldn't do anything. It's, you know, just kind of neutral right here. Look at STZ is still powering ahead. Oh, OIH, I was hoping it was going to gap up to 1850. But you know what? I'm still moving the stop under here now. Our McDonald's is totally fine. AEIS is fine. Zalo is fine. MTG, we have our stop in. CDK, we have our stop in. We're in trail mode. Hey, our whiskey. Back to the lows. That's good. Mighty Mo. We're short the call spread. That actually looked like a day trade short right there, 5-minute low. Although you got this tail over here to deal with. PG. Hey, welcome. PG, what about selling some put spreads? It's a churn, what we call a churning uptrend. And we like selling them better, like under pivots. So your pivot would really have to be down here, the 104s. And just through my experience, I don't think you're going to get any juice going that far down. Costco, I like it over Thursday's high. Now, so this one's a better put spread because see, we like selling them tighter under logical places.